Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. It is 6 o'clock and we want to stay on schedule tonight. Hi there, Bob. Bob, I'm going to have you turn off your camera until it's time for us to come on. And if everybody, thank you, Bob, if we can do that. That way, when we have multiple speakers on, when we have our student athlete guests and coaches, you'll be able to view just the active speakers. And a tip for you watching on Zoom, if you switch your view up top to say hide non-video participants, you won't have a bunch of blank screen squares up there. You'll only see the two active speakers that'll be active at one time. So if you make that switch, it'll be a little bit easier viewing experience for you. But want to welcome everybody, and this is this month's edition of our Beaks briefing, and it's kind of an exciting month because we get to actually share some updates from our coaches about competitions. We are in full swing with all of our sports actually able to get back to competition now, and it's first time since we've held a briefing that we've been able to do that. So coaches will have a few minutes to be able to share what's been happening and what's coming up in the next few weeks with regard to competition, as well as introduce one of their student athletes, and we'll hear from them directly as well as a part of our normal programs. Then we will move into our Alumni Spotlight, as we always do. And tonight we have Bob DeConing with us. He was one of the very first athletes at LB, and he was a two-sport athlete, played basketball as well as golf. And he has been a great fan and following what we have going on these days. And we're going to have a special guest interviewer when we get to that point as well. And as usual, we want to encourage any questions, especially from our student athletes. I think Bob's a great resource and you're going to hear a lot about his background, but we want to ask for you to don't be shy. Ask questions of Bob about anything that he's going to talk about or something that you may want to hear. So when we get to that point, please don't be shy, and we want to invite your participation. Before we get into the sport reports, I just wanted to make a couple of statements, and as I said already, we are back to competing, and it's been a long time coming. We're happy to get there. All of our student athletes have done a great job of doing all these things that we needed to do to keep our environment safe so that we could get back to playing games. The whole conference has been following along with all these COVID protocols, and we're finally playing games. The one thing that we do acknowledge, and this is not the ideal situation, but it's where we are at today, we are still not able to have spectators at our indoor events. And I don't know that that's going to change before we get to the end of our games. Most campuses in Oregon are operating under the same rules, that they are not allowing spectators at volleyball, basketball, or any other indoor events. And so that's unfortunate because we know that parents and others want to come and see you guys play, but our campus, as with almost every other campus in Oregon, we've taken a very conservative approach to managing who we're going to have on campus and who not. Technically, LB is still not open to the public. We are not having outside groups come to our facility and rent or use our facilities. So it fits in line with the very conservative approach that we've taken all along. So we know that that's not ideal. We wish that we could have some parents and others come to watch you play indoors, but unfortunately we can't. And I don't know that that's going to change. Outdoors at baseball games, we haven't been promoting the fact, but because we don't have a facility that can be controlled, we can't contain or control entrance to the area. People have been coming and watching baseball games, and with the weather being nice last weekend, it's been kind of fun to make it feel like normal. But I know that people that have been coming to baseball are probably very tired of me, coming up to them, reminding them about our masking policies and remaining socially distant, our constant PA announcements to that effect, and also the numerous signage that we have at the facility. But it is what we need to do in order to keep having spectators at those baseball games. So we appreciate everyone's cooperation and support with following those policies, because that's the only way we've been allowed to have people come out to the baseball game. So we appreciate everybody's support there. So we hope things are going to be very different next fall, and we don't have any concrete information yet on what next fall is going to look like. We are planning to resume normal competitive seasons, not everything all in the spring, but we don't know what other guidance will be in place for the fall, but we are planning and preparing as if next year is going to be as back to normal as we can get to. So that's the good news on the horizon. Now, before we get to the sport reports, as we always do, I want to make a couple of reminders. One, our sideline store that you can find on our website, our great partnership with BSN Sports. There is just tons of great merchandise up there, all sorts of things that you can get, and there's always some kind of sale going on. So if you go to our website and then go /store, that'll take you to the sideline store, and you can shop. And every purchase benefits our athletic program. So know that you're supporting us directly by purchasing your LB Roadrunner gear on that site. And our new sponsor I wanted to at least draw everybody's attention to is the Glassman. They're a local shop in Albany, just a great service-oriented company. I used them long before they became a sponsor of ours, and just found them to be professional and courteous, and just they've come on board, and they really are a big fan of LB athletics and a big supporter of ours. So if you have any needs there, we encourage you to support our sponsors as well. The other reminder, our 50 for 50 series is plugging along. We are more than halfway to the 50 number, and we're going to get there by the end of this academic year, but we just have so much great history to celebrate. And in fact, tonight, our Alumni Spotlight, Bob DeConing, is one of these 50 that has already been posted. So we encourage you to check out the whole series and learn a lot more about the LB history and all the great student athletes, coaches, and others associated with the program that have been a part of the last 5 decades of Roadrunner athletics. So check them out on our website. Now, we're going to get to our sport updates, and as usual, we will ask our coach to come on, and then coaches, you can introduce your student athlete when you get to that point, either before or after your update, and then we'll have our student athletes pop on and introduce themselves, and then we'll progress through to the next team. So volleyball is going to go first, followed by Coach Schaumburg in men's basketball, baseball, and we'll wrap up with women's basketball tonight. So Jamie, are you ready to go? There we go.
I am ready. Thanks everybody for joining us again on Zoom. It's great to be back with the team on the court competing. We started our season the second week of March, so we were the first one to get going. And we actually got a chance to scrimmage Corbin and Southern Oregon University. And then we started region play March 24th. We actually are getting a chance to play 8 out of the 9 Southern region teams, this spring are joining us. So we'll end at the end of May with some type of a Southern region playoff, basically the last 2 weeks of May. We got off to a little bit of a slow start and lost that first week to SWAC, but since then we've bounced back and beat Clackamas, Umpqua, and Mount Hood, winning all 6 matches. And currently our team is tied for second in the Southern region. And the team's continuing to improve this week. We'll wrap up our second half with Chemeketa, Lane, and hopefully end with Plain Rogue. Academically, the team passed an average of 14 credits winter and earned a 3.25 cumulative. 6 of our sophomores will complete degrees by spring and into summer. Some of our stat leaders and highlights so far, Shaylin Gray and Jade Hayes are leading our defense in digs. I won't put all the numbers up there, but just a lot of our stats would in a normal year be leading in the NWAC. Shay was also Southern Region Defensive Player of the Week last week. Mar Honest and Lex Chapman are leading at the net in blocking. Jade Hayes and Emily Curtis lead serving aces, and Emily also served over 100 serves at 94%. Alexis Chapman has served 58 at 100%. You don't normally see that in a middle position. Shaylin Gray leads our offense with 3.82 kills per set, followed by Emily Curtis hitting at 2.54. And that leads me to our volleyball spotlight player, and that's Sydney Johnson. So Sydney, if you're out there, why don't you go ahead and pop on, and I'll talk about you here just for a sec. Sydney is our sophomore setter, one of our sophomore setters. She earned Southern Region Player of the Week honors for both of the last 2 weeks. She's currently averaging 10.12 assists per set, which would normally, again, be in the top 10 in the entire NWAC, which is 32 schools. So, Sid, why don't you just tell us where you went to high school, and then, you know, what brought you to Linn-Benton?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I went to South Umpqua High School in Myrtle Creek. I came to LB because Jamie runs a great program and I wanted to play for her. But at the time of committing, I wanted to be an ultrasound technician, and LB has a dual enrollment program with OIT, so I could take all my prereqs here and then transfer down there after my 2 years. But that's no longer I changed to nursing, so.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So what's your major here, and what are you planning on doing with that degree?
Yeah, so like I said, I switched to nursing. I want to be a labor and delivery nurse, but that's a fall program. It only starts in the fall, and I will not be in it this upcoming fall. So my plan is to come back and play for Jamie for 1 more year. But I want to take a few more classes and explore some options while I have that year to do so.
Okay. Yeah, and you're not alone, because there's going to be a few more sophomores that are coming back as well. So that's great. So after all this time, how does it feel to be competing again, since preparing since August?
I mean, it feels good. It feels as normal as we can right now to finally be competing against other schools, not just playing in pods and playing against each other.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about what a normal year would look like, but it is starting to feel a little bit more normal, where we get to be together, a lot more. And I know all the teams are feeling that way as well. So, okay, well, thanks a lot, Sydney, for joining us tonight. So we'll turn it over to the next program.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Sydney. Nice job, Jamie. Thank you. And what Jamie is talking about, and Sydney mentioned, this year, the NWAC has granted an extra year of eligibility to everybody. So these seasons are not counting towards the 2 seasons of eligibility. So as Sydney comes back next year, she will be what we are calling a super sophomore for many reasons, but a super sophomore because it will be technically another sophomore season, but it'll only be her 2nd year for eligibility. Coach Schomburg, are you ready to jump on?
I think so. Is that working out? Yep, I think so.
There you go.
All right. Yeah, so we're up and rolling. We've had our first 4 games. We broke our season down into essentially 4 pieces. The first piece was when we got cleared to practice live, which was the 24th of March. So we went from the 24th of March until Easter, basically, where all we were trying to do was try to get as fit as possible. And then we broke down the next section, which was from Easter to the 24th of this month, which would be Saturday. And we were starting to play games in that segment. And so we turned that into a segment where we're trying to play ourselves into shape to get into actual real playing shape. And we're making a lot of progress there. During that segment, we played our first game against Umpqua on the road. Guys did really well. We ended up losing by 12, but we're very competitive during the game. And we played that game after only 2 practices with the whole team. So there's a lot of excitement in terms of, like, we could be pretty good once we put it all together. And then the third segment of the season, which in our mind starts the 25th, will be next week, and we'll go from there until the end of the regular season. And then the postseason will be our 4th segment. So we've broken our season down into 4 pieces so that we can chew on each piece individually without getting distracted from the bigger tasks at hand. Currently, we're 1-3. We lost a tough one to Mount Hood on Saturday. Felt like we should have beat them, but we were down 2 guys. One guy had gotten his COVID vaccine and was sick from the reaction, and another guy had a bad ankle roll. So they were both out. But guys got some valuable playing time. The guy I'm going to introduce in a second started his first college game, so that was pretty exciting. He can tell you a little bit more about that in a second. Some highlights we've got. Fred Harding, who's one of our returning sophomores, is shooting 65% from the floor. We just had a team meeting and we're wondering why he doesn't shoot it every time down the floor. He's shooting it so well. We've got 3 guys averaging double figures in scoring: Kai Blazer, George Sadi, and Fred. So we're excited about that. We're really trying to come together as a team right now, and we're actually getting ready to practice here. So I apologize for my mind being a little bit elsewhere, but guys are running by the office, grabbing stuff out of the office and getting to practice right now. So without further ado, let me bring Jace Mills on here. Jace is from Terrebonne, Oregon. Small school player, went to Central Christian High School, and we brought him out here. Really, it's a funny story. I started recruiting him because the picture I saw when he emailed us initially, he had enormous paws on a basketball, and I went, "Wow, this kid's got huge hands." So I looked more into it, and then it turned out it was a good fit for him. And so without further ado, let me bring Jace on. We're just going to share the computer, so he's going to hop in and take over here. Go ahead, Jace.
All right, thanks, Coach. Like you said before, I'm from Terrebonne, Oregon. I went to a small 1A Christian school, Central Christian in Redmond over there. I'm a freshman here. This is my first year, and I'm planning to be a physical therapist. So I'm going to do my probably 2 or 3 years here and then transfer somewhere bigger, maybe somewhere else I can play, or if not, OSU, hopefully. That would be a good fit too, because we're a partnership program, but I'm really enjoying it so far.
Why'd you come here, Jace?
I came here because of the athletics. First off, that was I guess the main reason. Got a good program here going, and Coach offered me a spot, and also the academics here I've heard of is really good. So,
why don't you talk to them a little bit about how it was to start your first college game?
Even though we played a couple games before that, I was obviously nervous because, I started my high school years, but it's different starting in college, just knowing it's like a different kind of competition. It was definitely really exciting, and hopefully I get a couple more starts.
How'd you
as
play?
The season goes on. I probably played my best game of my career. I had like 3 threes, 13 points. Led the team in scoring that day, but overall it was a good game for me personally. Really exciting.
Good stuff. All right, why don't you hop up and head off to practice, big fella?
Thanks, Coach.
We'll wrap it up.
Mark.
Thanks, Jace.
So we're really excited about Jace. We think he's going to do big things for us. Think he's going to be a heck of a player. He's really good around the basket and also can shoot the ball really well from the outside. And he's really just a big puppy who's just getting started. And I think in a couple of years he's going to be really, really good. So we're lucky to have him here. And he's a great kid too, as you can tell. But that's what we got for you so far. Looking forward to finishing up strong, and hopefully everybody's following us on the games online on the YouTube channel. And we play some exciting basketball. The kids work really hard at it, so I encourage you to check us out.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Nice job, and nice job to Jace there. Good luck in practice tonight. Okay, Coach Petey, are you ready?
Yep.
There you go.
All right. Thanks for having us. Pretty excited how we're starting out so far. Got a 12-4 record. Actually have the most wins in the NWAC, which is obviously pretty excited about that. We went 2-2 this weekend, so we got some stuff to work on, and think we're getting after in practice, getting ready for Chemeketa this weekend. Ended up with a 3.39 team GPA last term. Obviously very happy about that. Makes a lot of sense. A lot of great kids. They're a lot of focused, great kids on the squad. Couldn't be happier. We're also leading the NWAC in home runs. We have 10 home runs so far through 16 games. Wish we struck out a little less, but obviously, that's a cool feat to have so far. To highlight a few players, we've been pretty dominant on the mound with a couple starters, Taylor Ott and Eric Hill. I think Eric's 4-0. I think Taylor's 3-1. But they've been very, very, very impressive so far. Eric's heading back to Chico State next year, and very excited to see where Taylor ends up for us. Pretty excited for him. He actually just texted me. He's like, so I get another year back, kind of a thing, but he's gonna be shocked if he comes back, kind of a deal. In the bullpen, we've had Will Fehrenbacher's been outstanding for us. And Rhett Larson's probably one of the best pitchers in the NWAC. I think everybody's been seeing that. I'll definitely make Rhett talk on this on our Zoom briefing next month, and I think we'll all have a blast with that. As far as some of our position players, I think our position players are led by Jake Hoskins, our shortstop, our leadoff hitter. He's our spark plug. The kid is special. It's been a blast to watch him play. If anyone's been to our games, it's been a lot of fun out of him. JJ Hoover's been doing a great job behind the plate, controlling our pitching staff, calling the games himself, and he's been doing a great job with Eric and Taylor up on the mound there. And I'm going to introduce Durham Sundberg today. Durham, you there?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah. So Durham is a freshman out of San Barlow High School. What do you got going? You cut your hair?
No, it's just up in a bunch.
Oh, you got it on. Okay. Nice. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Durham?
My name is Durham Sundberg. I'm a freshman outfielder here at Linn-Benton. I went to San Barlow High School in Gresham, Oregon, and that's about all I got.
Okay. What kind of hobbies you got, Durham?
Off days, play a good amount of video games. I enjoy going for hikes, heading over to Mary's Peak. But other than that, just pretty much sleeping, getting on homework.
Nice. What did you expect when you first showed up at Linn-Benton versus what you think now?
Oh man, when I first showed up, I was kind of expecting a lot of the sophomores to kind of band together, but I think the new kids and the returners kind of integrated a lot faster and kind of got to know each other, and it's been a lot of fun being able to hang out with some older guys, play with some guys that have more experience, talk to them about baseball. They have a lot of good information, understand the game. So kind of being able to talk to them and figure stuff out with them has been a lot of fun.
Nice, attaboy. What is your favorite moment or play or something from somebody else this year so far?
I think me and Ian were sitting in the dugout, and it was over at Lane. We were away, and we kind of looked at each other and kind of joking, we were like, oh, Wyatt was up to bat, Wyatt Young was up to bat, and kind of just was out looking at like the banners, and we were like, oh, he's going to hit it over that banner, and Ian picked one out. And I think it was the very next pitch. Wyatt just absolutely crushed the ball. It was kind of right in the middle of the two, and me and Ian kind of laughed about it, but that's probably one of my favorite things so far, just because it was just a little bit of chatter between us in the dugout that ended up kind of coming true.
You should do that more often, buddy. Yeah, nice, dude. Good for you. I guess, what are you looking forward to for the rest of the year? Halfway through the season, just about. What are you looking forward to?
Just competing, continuing to play with the team that we have right now, and hopefully, I don't think we're satisfied with 12-4, and I really like that as a team. So I think trying to, play out the rest of the year and just kind of dominate all over the field, kind of every aspect of the game, and just keep on swinging the bat, having a ton of fun, chirping in the dugout. Kind of hard to pinpoint one thing because it's just too much fun.
Very cool. So Durham actually, I believe he's top 10 in the NWAC and on-base percentage with I think it's close to 490, something like that. I believe he's top 5 in stolen bases. And he just got his first home run this last weekend. It went out by about an inch, I would say.
It counts.
It counts. Yeah. Great job, Durham. Not a boy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Nice job, Durham. Andy, anything else?
Nope. Good to go.
Okay, great. Well, nice job, you guys. Okay, Coach Gibson, are you ready to go?
I think so, if you can hear me.
You got it.
Okay, last but not least here, biggest, I think the first thing I want to start off with is just acknowledging our group this year and, in how they've approached this season, and have just done a really good job of sticking with it and really trying to get better. We talk a lot, about, how strange this year has been. And even though we're back to competing right now, just reminding them that we're just going to have to roll with the punches a little bit, with all the protocols that we're dealing with, and there's going to be some cancellations or some postponements, and I think they've done a really good job of not getting too high or too low when things arise, when adversity strikes. And so I wanted to acknowledge our ladies on that. I think they've done a really good job. In that same context, we were supposed to play last week our fourth and fifth game against Mount Hood, and didn't get a chance to play those because Mount Hood was in COVID protocols, and this is our bye week. So we started up. We got 3 games in, started to have a little bit of momentum moving forward, and then last week got postponed, and this week's our bye week. So now we haven't competed for 2 weeks. So that's been a little bit of a challenge for us, and they're tired of competing against themselves every day in practice. But at least we're going here, and things are looking up. So just to kind of highlight where we've what we've done so far. We've played 3 games. We're sitting at 2-1 right now. We opened up with SWAC and beat SWAC here at our place, and then played Umpqua twice. First game at their place, we beat them by 22, and had some really solid contributions from a lot of the team. And then we hosted Umpqua the following Saturday, and ended up losing that game by 3, which was a really good learning experience for us, I hope, because they didn't like the taste in their mouth from the Wednesday game. So hopefully we can build on that and use that as a learning experience. Just to highlight some of our players, our 2 guards that start for us, Grace Gaither and Liz Chavez, are leading us in scoring right now. Grace is averaging about 16 points a game, and Liz at about 13 points a game. But more importantly than that, both of them have a positive assist to turnover ratio that's really kind of driving our offense. Brooklyn Hankwitz, freshman from Astoria, a forward for us, has started for us at the 4 spot, is averaging 11 points and 9 rebounds for us. So it's some good starts. We're getting a lot of contributions from a lot of different kids, and really excited about what we can do and where we can go. It's all about staying healthy and just continuing to improve every practice. On the recruiting front, for us, we have 3 commitments for next year. Feel really good about the 3 that have signed with us. We have another one signing this week. So we're really excited about the level of skill and competitiveness that the kids that have committed to us for next year. So we're excited about adding them here in just a few months. And we'll get over to Katie Ensign. Katie, if you want to join us here while she's turning her camera on and her mic on. Katie's I'll let her introduce herself, but really pleased with what we've seen so far from Katie and her growth and improvement over the last 7 months. We knew she had a chance to be to have a really high ceiling, and she's really done a good job of just continuing to work and pick up things as we moved on here. So really excited about her future in our program. And Katie, I will turn it over to you and let you do a little speaking here.
Okay. So hi, my name is Katie Ensign, and I'm a freshman guard from North Marion High School. And one of the biggest reasons why I chose Linn-Benton is just from the start, I could see how like supportive and welcoming not only like the coaching staff were, but just the program and Linn-Benton as a whole. And the best part about finally being able to play again is honestly just that, and knowing that like all of our hard work over the past few months or so have really started to like pay off, and being able to see that on the court is really cool. So yeah.
Very good, Katie. Thank you. Katie, what's your plans? Can you let everybody know what your plan is academically and what you want to do after LB?
Yeah, so I plan on going on to get my degree in business administration at a 4-year, and then hopefully after that, I'll go on to get my master's in medical health administration or healthcare administration. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. Appreciate it. Mark, we'll turn it back over to you.
Great. Well done. Nice job, Katie and Coach Gibson. Thank you. What a great segue, Katie, you provided us, because you're a business administration major, or that's what you plan to do. And Bob, I'm going to invite you to turn your camera on now. Bob is I think he's a self-declared serial entrepreneur, I think is what he called himself. And Bob, I just for a second wanted to put up this slide, because in doing my research for your 50 for 50 article, came across some great vintage photos of you. and that is one there. And you saw a couple of the other ones, but just thought we'd share that you indeed did wear the LBCC jersey there, and thought you'd get a kick out of that. Bob, thanks so much for joining us. It's been great to get to know you a little bit. And these segments are really, I believe, important for our current student athletes to hear from folks like yourself that were at LB, have gone through what they're going through now, and now have gone on and done various things in your lives and been successful. And you can take a few minutes and reflect back on what LB was like and what it meant to you. And so that's kind of what these segments are about. And we hope that we can spark some questions and get some good discussion going. And what we're going to do, and I know you're aware of this, Robin, I'm going to invite you to come on camera, because Robin, Andrea, our assistant women's basketball coach, worked with Bob a number of years ago, and we thought that would be the perfect opportunity to have a little Q&A and interview session. So I'm going to invite Robin on now to take over. And Bob, have fun, and hopefully we're going to have some great stories come out and get some questions from our student athletes. So Robin, take it away.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Robin. Good to see you again.
Yeah, I just have to say I'm really looking forward to having a conversation that isn't a stand-up meeting about call volume and daily revenue and retention numbers. This is going to be fun. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I won't hold you accountable for all of that. So that's great. That's great to see, by the way, the gymnasium there behind you, because when I was at Linn-Benton, we didn't have a gym. In fact, we really didn't even have a school. We had trailer houses, and that's where our classrooms were in. And the school was just starting to get built. So it was.
That leads me to the question, right? Is like, why did you, I know you had options, right? You talked to Wolf and I about it a lot, right? So why did you choose Linn-Benton?
I had a chance to, play at Pacific or Southern Oregon or OIT and some of the other colleges. And I'd kind of settled on actually going to Portland State and playing for the freshman team there with a couple of other my teammates. I played high school basketball at Wilson High School in Portland, and was going to go to Portland State, and had some success against one of the other high schools in town, Madison High School. And it turned out that Madison was where Dick McClain, who became the first athletic director, coached baseball, and Butch Kempton was their basketball coach. And for some reason, I think they saw some potential in me. And so it was July before starting school in September, and Butch Kempton called me and wanted to talk to me and took me out a couple of times and talked to me about helping him start the Linn-Benton program from the ground up, because they never had a program before, and to come down from Portland down to Albany to help him establish the program. And so I thought about it and thought, well, it'd be kind of nice to get away from home. But I think the opportunity to help start something from the ground up is probably the first of my entrepreneurial endeavors, certainly, to start something like that and to build it and see it grow and be a part of something like that. And the fact that Coach Kempton wanted me, and the coach at Portland State kind of knew of me, but really hadn't reached out. And so you always want to go where you're wanted. And it was a great decision, obviously. So just 2 months later, I moved down to Albany and away from home for the first time and got started at Linn-Benton.
Well, despite maybe the interesting facilities, and you told me before this that you were playing in different high school gyms and such, I'm not really there, right? But we have one now, just in case you were concerned. But so how did, because I know you wear it on your sleeve, right? Your athletic career. How did that help you going from that experience where you were building something brand new? You had there was no track record to base your decision off of, right? How did you use that as you went on to University of Oregon, right? You transferred to U of O.
Right. So a couple of things. Number one, it's always important to understand why you make certain decisions. And the key question there is why. Why before a how or a what? And the reason why I went to Linn-Benton, number one, was athletically. I felt like I was a late bloomer in high school, really hadn't reached my potential. And like a lot of athletes at Linn-Benton, I'm sure they feel the same way. It really gave me an opportunity to see just how far I could take my basketball career and pursue that. And secondly, it gave me a great chance from an academic standpoint to get all my really core requirements out of the way: English, math, all the basics, get it out of the way at community college level so that I could clear the slate and concentrate on upper division business courses than when I got to the University of Oregon. So that was the why Linn-Benton, and it prepared me extremely well then for the University of Oregon. And going down there, I actually looked at possibly walking on for the basketball program at Oregon, but turned out they recruited one of the best freshman classes in Oregon history, and I would have sat the bench. And again, making decisions that impact your life, I could have. I was good enough to sit the bench at Oregon, but it wasn't going to be worth putting in the effort for 2 more years athletically. And so I decided to concentrate on my academic background, my business degree, and maximize that, and just play recreational basketball after that. Having been first team All-State junior college my sophomore year at Linn-Benton, felt that had kind of peaked at my own career. And having been captain of the team my sophomore year, I think reinforced in my mind the decision to get into management and take on that responsibility, not just of the team, but teams in a business sense. And so Linn-Benton was a great foundation for the future in that regard.
Well, so, and that was something I wanted to ask you about, right? Because you used to talk to us a lot about being ready and willing to accept additional responsibility when the opportunity arose. And so, like, it was always that question. I know Wolf and I used to talk about it a lot when you weren't in the room. It's like, okay, how do we know we're ready to do it, right? You're asking us to run this department, and we've done things similar, right? But we've never done it before. So how did you learn, right, that how to recognize an opportunity that you felt like you could take on even when you hadn't done it before? And what role you obviously did coming to Linn-Benton, right? So how did you get to that place that you could feel confident taking on something like that?
Well, I think having success breeds confidence. And when you've had the opportunity to take some risks, risk of going down to Linn-Benton, risk in pursuing your athletic career or whatever athletic, the academics involved, and you get rewarded for those risks, and that's reinforced. That confidence you can carry with you. And I'm a big believer that your future is an attitude, basically. And if you have the attitude that you're going to take control of your future and proactively go after it and work towards that, as opposed to letting the future dictate you, where you let everything come to you and you just kind of go along with it, and you kind of define your future based on just reacting to what's in front of you. That didn't work so well. So understanding proactively taking on your future, I think, was really, really key. So kind of the idea that next man up or next woman up, taking on responsibility and working towards the next position up, always being prepared for the next promotion up, was, again, started in sports and then served me well when you get into your business career as well. So.
Well, so that was the other thing too, is like you hear the success breeds confidence, right? And that's true. But the thing that I guess is fascinating to me is that you've unquestionably had success in greater and greater roles, right? I know the serial entrepreneur thing is funny, but it's true, right? And you've had this history of taking over companies and building companies and those kinds of things. But they're so dramatically different, right? For those of us that, like, I could sit back and say, well, I was a coach of a team and I had some success here, but how do I know that that's going to translate? And how do I attribute my confidence, right? When I look at, I'm going to run a team of salespeople now, or I'm going to run a team of sales support people now, or whatever it is. What gave you that confidence in yourself, or that you were able to recognize the similarities enough that you were able to continue to be successful when you jumped into places that you just didn't have a ton of information maybe at the beginning until you got in?
Yeah, that's it's an interesting question. I kind of I reflect back on it. I look at it as pole vaulting, where you continuously set the high bar higher, and you hit one height, and you get over the bar, and then you've always got to set the bar a little higher and then try and achieve that height, and you keep moving forward. So you go from Linn-Benton, you go to University of Oregon, bachelor's degree, you get out, get your first job, and I got promoted 5 times the first 7 years out of college. And then, you can't always predict where your career is going to take you. What you try and do is continuously learn and continuously take on more responsibility and learn new skills that then prepare you for ever greater challenges. And I always sought those challenges. And part of it might be a little bit of ego, Rob, that I always felt that I was better able to work at that next job than anybody else around me, and was better prepared for it, and really wanted that responsibility. I craved that success. And so I set a goal of being a director of human resources by age 30. I did it at 29. I set a goal of being a vice president by 35. I was a vice president by 32. Was a CEO before the age of 40. And CEO of 5 companies, 4 of which had successful liquidity events. In addition to that, sought positions where I was a leader amongst leaders, which drove me. And so chairman of the Oregon Council, the American Electronics Association, president of the Association for Corporate Growth, and chairman of the Oregon Entrepreneurial Network, all of which I was doing at the same time that I was running companies, and just seeking more responsibility and more challenges out in front of me, raising that pole vault high bar constantly. So
how do you, this is the thing that I still struggle with personally, and I know our athletes probably do too, is how do you, when you feel like you have more that you can give, right? Or that you're capable of more than is being asked of you, what are the things that you have to be doing to to display that, right, to the person that has to make the decision? Because you can't just say, well, I want to be a vice president by 35, so I'm going to choose to be the vice president at 34 or whatever, right? And I accomplished my goal. Somebody has to see that in you and give it to you. So how did you go about communicating that to the people that had to make the decision, right? I'm thinking about maybe athletes that are looking for more playing time, or they're looking for more responsibility, or they're looking for, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. And everybody at every level, whether it's in sports or business or whatever you're doing, there's always someone above you that's watching and observing, and you're having to prove yourself and perform to your best at all times. And so I think, we talked about unfair competitive advantages, but I would say there's probably, 5 or 6 things I'd offer up. Number one, I made sure that I worked harder than my peers. If they wanted to work their 40 hours a week, I was working 60 plus hours a week or more. I would make sure that I would come to work before my boss, and I would work after my boss had left for the evening, so that they could see that I was making as much of a commitment or more than they were. Felt that I had unquestionable integrity, that the management or the coaches or whatever, they could trust me and my word with their most important assets. And that would be, their employees, their property, their data, their brand, whatever, that they could trust me with it. I always attempted to bring solutions to my boss or my coach or whatever, and not just problems. And even back at Linn-Benton, I felt like I was kind of, even though I wasn't a point guard, I was bringing suggestions back to Coach Kempton on the timeouts and stuff of what we were observing. And so bringing, real world solutions to what we were being faced with at the time. This is a little crazy and probably doesn't pertain today, but I always dress for success. I think you knew that. So I always dressed for the next promotion up, because I wanted my management or my board of directors or whatever to envision me in the next position up and see me in that role. And then we're always work to try and be strategic and forward looking into the future, as opposed to tactical and reacting to what was going on at the time, or even lamenting what happened in the past. I always spent 90% in the windshield and 10% in the rearview mirror. So I think that served me well, just focusing on the future. And I would offer this as an athlete, knowing how to visualize, success on the court or on the baseball field or volleyball or whatever the sport it is. Visualize that success, and visualizing how you're going to execute in certain circumstances can be used in the business setting or your work day or your life in general, visualizing success out there. And so those skill sets actually serve well for your future, no matter what you're doing. And the athletics played a role in that for sure.
So, and this is something that I never asked you before, though I did tell you I was going to ask you this. You showed an incredible amount of trust, right, in essentially your team. When we were working together, you gave some of us who had no business running it. I mean, I guess we had a little business running because we succeeded, right? We were the best in the country. But you showed a ton of trust to give us the opportunity to challenge the status quo and to be creative, and not just, where others might want to micromanage because it was such an important thing. You kind of took your hands off. And that was a lesson that I took from you that was incredibly valuable. And I still, to this day, don't know how you had that kind of trust in it. But where did that come from? Your ability to kind of let us go, if you will.
Yeah. Well, number one, Robin, you're being somewhat humble here. You earned and deserved my trust. And it was based on your work performance and your values. So it's easy to give it when you can see that somebody has earned it, wants it, and will handle it with dignity. Secondly, I always wanted to treat my employees, but even when I coached my kids and all of that, I wanted to coach and to manage in a way that I wanted to be treated myself as a player or as an employer or whatever, to create a culture of success and to create a culture of excellence. And I didn't like to be micromanaged. I hated it. I always felt that, I could do far better, with results if I did it on my own. And so why would I want to micromanage or handcuff in either employees or the athletes or anybody else around me? Why would I want to do that when I myself didn't want that? So, and the other thing is, in striving towards success, we really reached for exponential growth. And in the ball fields, it's for exponential success. And certainly when you start a basketball or baseball program at Linn-Benton 50 years ago with no gyms, no ball diamonds, no school, no gyms, scratching and clawing your way up, that kind of activity, you can't do it alone. And so you learn collaboration, and you learn that you've got to elevate everyone else around you to be successful, because you can't do it by yourself. So you need everybody in alignment, working towards the same goals, and doing that. So, and I guess the last thing I would say is the greatest thrills as a manager or as a coach, I call it the intrinsic compensation, right? Is to see one of your players or your employees literally blossom, much like you did. I mean, we promoted you, I don't know, multiple times and did all that, but to see someone exceed all expectations and have the light come on, that enlightenment that comes with success and knowing that they can do so much more, that's so rewarding for both of us, that it literally is one of the greatest thrills, in 47 years in working, is to see that happen in a workplace setting or on the ball field.
Well, for what it's worth, you were the example for me. You were the reason that I was coming into work in a 3-piece suit as a manager of 2 people.
So it's all
right?
my fault, right?
Yeah, it's definitely your fault. My Men's Warehouse bill was enormous because of you.
Well, it worked.
Yeah. But the lessons that you taught me, just from the trust that you showed, the willingness to take chances, right? It really gave me a different perspective of how to lead a team. And I will echo what you said. Some of the most enjoyable moments as a basketball coach and leading a group, in business, is watching them succeed, right? And even if they're not the leading scorer, but the fact that they have accomplished something that they've been striving for, there's nothing better than that. I mean, that's why you do it. And then the other part of that is, beating Sova to the punch at everything. That was really helpful. I appreciate that.
I call it the aha experience, just, and you see it in sports, you see it in business, see it in life. And it was very gratifying, by the way, tonight, just to see both the coaches and the players and the programs having success down at Linn-Benton. It really is very enjoyable to see. So we've all had a lot of help along the way, a lot of mentors, a lot of people that have helped us through life thus far. And so it's a chance now to give back and make a difference. And I'm looking forward to be able to do that at Linn-Benton to the extent you'll let me, and help out. But Mark, my appreciation really for, number one, having a chance to speak today, but also the job you're doing at Linn-Benton and acknowledging, the 50 years there and some of the people, the alumni that have come before us, and a chance for all of us to connect and network. And as going forward as athletes and coaches, if I can be of some help, if people are looking for career help here in the Portland metropolitan area or elsewhere, and I can still help out, I'm very willing to give back and help them achieve their success.
Well, that's great. And Bob, this has just been gold and so many gems in there and literally sharing what you did. I mean, there are things that pop out, and I hope that our student athletes are really paying attention. And sometimes it's hard, to think about, how does that really apply to me? They'll be there one day and they're going to think back on some of these things. But the thing that stuck out for me, Bob, is your future is an attitude.
Right.
What a great saying. And I think if people can embrace that and really start to think about what that means, it can be very impactful.
Yeah. That
this was
attitude towards just being successful in life and just owning your own attitude every single day, bringing it to the gym or the ball diamond or the classroom or your relationships with your friends. And every day is a white canvas that you can paint your way successfully. And I call it the waterfall effect, because every decision you make then cascades into other decisions that you make that lead towards success. And you can own that. You own your attitude, you can own your future. You just have to give yourself that opportunity. And it's all about the mindset from day one.
Yep. Well, this has been great. We're up against about the end of our time here, but like we always do, now I want to invite everybody to turn their cameras on. And I know you can't see everybody all on one screen, but we'll get a whole bunch of them up there, Bob, and you'll be able to see some of these bright young faces that you didn't get to meet during their introductions. But go ahead and turn your cameras on, everybody, and let's see who's with us tonight. There's some of them coming. But this has been so great. And Bob, we appreciate your time. And while these virtual sessions are great, we hope that you'll come back when we can have people back to campus and we can do a social event and invite some of you back to be with us in person so we can meet you face to face. But will you be willing to do that?
Absolutely. I would love it and would embrace it. So I can't wait for that day for all of us, really. So
yeah, we will get there eventually. I before we wrap up, I just want to see, are there any questions? We'd like to invite anybody to just speak up, turn on your microphone and ask a question or comment.
Bob, I guess I had a quick question. This is Jamie Frazier.
Yeah, hi Jamie.
How important is it, or looking back, that you write down those goals? You said you had goals in 1 year, in 2 years, in 5 years. Did you write those down? I mean, was that important part of it?
Well, I didn't write it down at the time. I think it was just mentally an expectation I set for myself. And I think my parents too helped set some expectations, but even the coaches who would communicate that there's more that I could offer. And so, I just felt driven, I guess, to proceed with it. I knew I wanted to get into business, the game of business, after the game of basketball, and to be successful with it. And I wanted to get into management specifically. And I just always wanted to create more and do more and make a difference, in what I was doing. And so later, I did set goals. In management, you have to. You set your goals and objectives for the budget year. You set specific goals, either on a daily or monthly basis. A day timer, I set goals every single day and check them off. And I also, later in life, kept a gratitude journal, which was very helpful. So I broke it down into 4 areas, and every day I have this personal journal, and I would document those things that I was grateful for in general, on a macro level, the 3 things that I was grateful for that day, because every day is a gift, and 3 things that I could be of service and give back for that day, those 3 things. And then the fourth one was a mindset journal. What's my general mindset right now? Getting back to your future as an attitude. And what can I do? I always go back to the word why. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? What motivates you to jump out of bed, be passionate, and go grab the day and go do it? What is your why? And so being able to document that as part of the gratitude journal really helps, because it helps keep you kind of working towards your future, what you want to achieve and how you're doing. And so along with setting annual goals, I still set, maybe it's New Year's resolutions, but I still set annual goals to this day, even though I'm semi-retired. But I think it's all about not only setting goals, but making sure you achieve those goals and the satisfaction that comes with that.
That's great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great. Well, this has been wonderful. Again, we're up against our hour limit, but this has been a great discussion. Really appreciate you joining us again, Bob and Robin. Great job running the interview. That was really, really fun to watch you guys go back and forth. And it looks like you got a lot out of Bob with your time with him. But I got to say, your wardrobe has gone to heck,
Yeah.
you're
I tried to
wearing
wear
sweats every
Linn-Benton
day.
colors, by the way. I think these are the
It's the right
purple
blue
and yellow.
or was.
Yeah. No, actually I meant to swam Robin with that one. 'Cause
Oh,
I only see
Robin.
him
Oh,
sweats every
okay.
day. He talked about 3-piece suits. I've never seen that. So we'll
Well, I can't outdress the head coach, Mark.
there you go. All right, we better wrap it up. But again, thanks to everybody for being here. We'll do it again next month. Bob, thank you, and we will be in touch and hope to have you down to campus soon.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark,
All right.
and go Beaks.
All right, good job. Thank you.